morning, good afternoon, good evening. I've said on this platform that Zimbabwe is a failed state. And I've said we are a failed state because we have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections. And so the nation has found itself stuck with a corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical Zanu PF regime, complete with its equally corrupt, incompetent, and utterly useless MDC CCC opposition party. The truth of the matter is, we have reached a state of equilibrium, if you want, where instead of fighting for free, fair, and credible elections, we've all but given up on that front. For Zanu PF, why would you want free, fair, and credible elections if you can rig elections and get away with it? And that is exactly what they've been doing since the GNU of 2008 to 2013. For the opposition leaders, MDC CCC, they have found that they cannot implement any meaningful democratic reforms. They failed to do so when they had the golden chance to do so during the GNU. And so they've settled for participating in flawed elections, knowing fully well that they are flawed, knowing fully well that by participating, they will give Zanu PF legitimacy. But they also know that Zanu PF is giving away a few gravity seats to entice them to participate, because the party needs legitimacy. If there's one thing that Zanu PF leaders have learned during the GNU, it is that the days of the de facto one-party state, naked, in your face, were over after 2008. What they needed to do now is keep this facade that Zimbabwe is a healthy and functioning democracy by enticing the opposition to participate, let them win a few seats so that they can turn around to the world and say, yes, we've got an opposition, look, here they are. Even though the opposition in Zimbabwe, in fact, since 2013, have become the Zanu PF Team B in all but name. They've been playing for Team A to win and to give Team A legitimacy. Then we come to the people themselves, notably the opposition supporters who have been participating in these flawed elections and yet get nothing. All they've succeeded in doing is perpetuate their own suffering. They have participated in these flawed elections because they've been conned to believe that the opposition would win rigged elections. They've devised ways of winning flawed elections. And so, ever since 2018, the nation has been involved in elections that they know are flawed. Zanu PF is quite happy to rig and stay in power. The opposition leaders are quite happy to participate because they know they get a few gravitran seats. And the ordinary people have been conned to believe that they can win rigged elections. Here is a video clip that has been taking the rounds today in social media of one of Zimbabwe's leading intellectuals talking about elections.
We recorded a video, War Vets versus Mnangagwa. It is generating a lot of interest from followers of this YouTube channel. Comrades made comments. We want to discuss these comments that comrades did post. Comrade B. James says the major problem you are missing is that Chamisa thought he would beat Mnangagwa in elections. Don't forget also that Chamisa and Mnangagwa are related. What is needed is a new direction with the different players, not the same people changing chairs and bringing in their relatives through the back door. There are 3 points that Comrade B. James is raising. We will not respond to the second point. The first point is about election. Yes, Zimbabwe is a democracy. After every 5 years, we go to an election. So there's nothing wrong.
This is the warning sign. You need to know if you often have glucose spikes. Type 2, diabetes.
When Advocate Nelson Chamisa contested an election and hoping that he was going to win, because when you contest an election, you expect to win. Of course, we know that election electoral reforms have not been implemented in terms of the constitution and the SADC protocols on holding free and democratic elections. But there's nothing wrong for any person to have contested in the previous elections and hoping to win.
That is the most irrational argument one can hear. You accept that the electoral process is flawed, that Zanu PF is rigging the elections, and yet you still maintain that you must participate. Where is the rationale in that? Earlier on, I was showing you a quotation from David Coulthard from his book. In fact, it's the one that is scrolling at the bottom of your screen there, where he admitted that the 2013 elections were so flawed, so illegal, that the only rational thing to do was to withdraw. Why did he not withdraw? Well, he admits it there in that quotation. He could not withdraw because he and his MDC and colleagues could not trust the other half of the opposition, MDCT, to withdraw. And they knew that if the other side participate, they would win the gravy train seats, and they couldn't let that happen. So they've been participating in these flawed elections out of greed. Pure and simple. Why somebody is pretending here that it is democratic we need to participate. You must participate in a system that you know is flawed. It's nonsensical. Indeed, the need to admit that people are participating out of greed is at the heart of it. We cannot keep on pretending that they're doing it for any other reason, because you know that is not true. They are doing it for a very specific reason, greed. Why don't you acknowledge it? Here is Margaret Dongo, an opposition leader in her own right. She has been in Zanu PF, explaining that very point of the opposition participating in flawed elections.
Politics is not a business. This is what I want to remind most of our MPs and other people.
Do you think they look at it as a business?
Yes, they look at it as a business. Because they look at it as a business seriously. Because the moment they go, business and employment creation, because if they go to parliament, you are employed. You get a car, you get a stable salary, and you are paid until your term is over. Already you are employed. If you are out, you're out of employment.
If you serve 2 terms, you get a pension?
You get a pension. Then already, this is why people kill in politics. They kill to be in parliament. This is why we have violence in this country, because there is no employment. The only employment which is there is in politics. There is no other outside employment. So for them, a very good example is, look at what happened to CCC, the Triple C party. Have a look. When they lost, when they said they were rigged, what I expected from them, I expected all parliamentarians to say, we are not going to go to participate in a rigged system. And we are not going to sit in a rigged parliament. Because the elections have been rigged. So all of us were not going to parliament. Imagine what could have happened. We could have gone into new elections. There's no way Zanu PF was going to rule alone.
You think so?
Yes.
Do they care?
Caring or not caring, the public would have forced them, because the majority of the people would want representation in parliament.
Hi there. Did you know you can perfectly legally, through a government scheme, earn £1 million a year completely tax-free?
But they went anyway?
But they went. They realized that, you heard them complain, I used my own money to be in parliament. But what about me who have voted for you? I used my own money. So the idea is to recover. Is it a business where you want to recover your losses? Is it a business? Politics, is it a business where everyone else, when you get in parliament, you want to recover your losses? A good example is now, parliamentarians have been elected. I don't know when we last saw our member of parliament in this area. And some of them, they tell.
So the point there is the opposition participated in the 2023 elections out of greed. In fact, she could have gone on to explain that even when SADC in the AU came out with a damning report condemning the electoral process as a farce, the opposition members still went ahead and took up their gravy train seats. To be fair to Chamisa, he tried to tell them that they should not take up their seats, and they ignored him. The people of Zimbabwe have got to wake up to the reality that the opposition, ever since the 2008 to 2013 GNU, have not been fighting in the people's corner. That is the reality the people have to accept. To keep on pretending that things that these people are fighting in their corner is naive, to say the very least. Margaret Dongo, in that program, brought up an important point, that the people would have forced Zanu PF to carry out a fair process if the opposition that refused to take up their seats. As we know, they did take up their seats. But I'll move it one step further and say the people themselves, now that they found the opposition is no longer fighting their corner, it is for the people themselves now to say, if the opposition is no longer representing us, we should stop supporting the opposition. Indeed, there is cause for it. SADC and the AU condemned the 2023 elections. Make no mistake about it. They've come out and said those elections were flawed and illegal. Some people have asked, why did SADC and the AU not go the extra mile and deny Zanu PF legitimacy? The reason is simple. Zimbabweans participated in those flawed elections in their millions. In their millions. Why did they participate? Particularly when they'd been warned several times that the process is flawed. They participated because they believed they could win rigged elections. Well, they failed to win rigged elections. And they should take the consequences. They should pay the price for it, for their naivety. And that is exactly what happened here. One other reason, of course, SADC could not deny Zanu PF legitimacy is that the opposition, they all took up their gravy train seats, as Margaret Dongo explained there. There is a way out of this political and economic mess. And the power is in our own hands, we the people. Now we know Zanu PF rigged elections. And is doing it with confidence, knowing fully well that it will get away with it. And in this case here, we also know the opposition is participating in these flawed elections out of greed. And they continue to do so, confident that they can con their followers to believe, to participate in their millions on the belief they can win rigged elections. We need to wake up to the reality that this issue of rigged elections is a nonsense. We have a right to free, fair, and credible elections. And if we hold our nerve and demand that we want free, fair, and credible elections, and we stop supporting the opposition who continue to participate in flawed elections under the pretext that they can win rigged elections. There is no doubt Zanu PF will know that if it cannot rig elections and get away with it, it will stop rigging the elections. We already have one big advantage. SADC in the AU condemned the 2023 elections as flawed and illegal. All we must do now is demand that we stop participating in these flawed elections until we address those problems. What people like Mabena here is telling us is utter nonsense. Why would you continue participating in a flawed elections when you know it's flawed? Because you expect to win. You expect to win rigged elections? After 45 years of rigged elections, you still expect to win rigged elections? We need to put on our thinking cap. That has been our biggest problem. I believe the present challenge is to explain to the people of Zimbabwe that there is absolutely nothing to be gained by participating in flawed elections that are so flawed, so illegal, that the only logical step is to withdraw. After 45 years of rigged elections, let's do the right thing for a change. Demand free, fair, and credible elections. That is our right. It's not a privilege. It's our right. If we do not participate in these rigged elections, in our millions, Zanu PF will not get legitimacy. That is the truth. Think about it. Have a good day.